Attention Falcon launch operators. The propellant load and launch go-no-go poll is open in step 11.87 of 1.160.
And at just under an hour to go until launch, we want to welcome in all of those tuning in by way of NASA's live stream that have just joined our lines from Mission Control at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. Thank you for joining, Sandra.
Hey, thanks, Paul. Here in the International Space Station Flight Control Room, the team is prepared and ready to support today's launch. This attempt comes after NASA and Roscosmos discussed recent repair work in the transfer tunnel at the aftmost segment of the Orbital Labs Zvezda service module. And now we are all looking forward to the Axiom 4 crew being on board Space Station soon. We'll provide a full Space Station status update in a few minutes, but know we need to bring everyone up to speed on today's activities and the launch status. So for now, back to you, Ronnie.
Thanks, Sandra. We'll hear more from Mission Control in just a few minutes, but we do want to take a moment first to introduce everyone to the crew of AX4. Aside from Axiom Space Commander Peggy Whitson, each crew member represents a return to human spaceflight for their nation after more than 40 years.
And starting with our commander, today's mission is led by Peggy Whitson of the United States. There is simply not enough time to cover her entire resume, but to give you just a few highlights, Peggy has earned degrees in biology, chemistry, and biochemistry. She was the first female commander of the International Space Station. She has spent over 675 total days in space, during which she logged 60 hours across 10 spacewalks. She's also a two-time commander for Axiom Space, having previously served aboard AX-2, and she was just inducted as a member of the 2025 Astronaut Hall of Fame. So congratulations and well-deserved, Peggy.
Next is mission pilot Shubhanshu Shukla of India, whose call sign as a test pilot is Shooks. Representing the Indian Space Research Organization, or ISRO, Shooks is also an astronaut designate of India's inaugural human spaceflight effort, Gaganyatri, featuring an Indian-built rocket and spacecraft. He was commissioned into the Indian Air Force Fighter Wing in 2006 and achieved the rank of Group Captain in 2024. He has over 2,000 hours of flight experience aboard a variety of aircraft.
And our third crew member is Mission Specialist Sławomir Uznański-Wiśniewski of Poland. He is representing the European Space Agency as a project astronaut, coming from the reserve class of 2022, much like Marcus Want, who served as a mission specialist on AX-3. A scientist by trade, Sławomir has earned his Master of Science with honors from Łódź University of Technology in 2008. He holds a second Master of Science and a graduate engineering diploma as well. He also spent 2 years as the engineer in charge of the world-famous Large Hadron Collider in Switzerland, beginning in 2018.
And rounding out this crew is mission specialist Tibor Kapu of Hungary, who represents the Hungarian to Orbit Astronaut Program, or HUNOR. He graduated from the Budapest University of Technology and Economics, earning a degree in mechanical engineering, followed by a master's degree specializing in polymer technology. In 2023, Tibor emerged as one of 4 Hungarians selected from a pool of 247 candidates for the HUNOR astronaut program.
And together, they are the crew of AX-4, Axiom Space's 4th private astronaut mission to the International Space Station. Today's flight represents the return to spaceflight for 3 nations, but it also highlights the growing opportunities for nations and entities around the world to conduct meaningful work in low Earth orbit. And right now, as you see there, Peggy, Shooks, Sławomir, and Tibor sit inside Dragon. There are colleagues and students and space enthusiasts the world over gathering to cheer them on here at the start of their mission. And so we'd love to share just a few live streams that we're getting from launch parties in India and Poland. And here we are. First is a wonderful shot of a school in India. These are the students and teachers at the Naberam Hansre English School in Jamshedpur, India, gathering together to watch Shubhanshu lift off. How exciting.
Now we have great views from Poland. Crowds are beginning to gather here, including children from Polish schools, to witness Sławosz's launch on the planetarium's dome. The event was organized by the Ministry of Economic Development and Technology, the Polish Space Agency, and the European Space Agency. I love seeing these views from around the world.
It's truly incredible. The joy, the excitement around the world.
You have a go for Section 5, and when ready, report go for launch. For awareness, we are still troubleshooting the wind upload file. I will have a few more words for you after you confirm your go for launch.
Wilco, in work, Section 5. And SpaceX Dragon, we are go for launch. Section 5 is complete.
Copy, Section 5 complete. All right, for awareness on timeline, we have to have the launch escape system armed by T-minus 37 minutes. So we are going to take this as far as we can. What I'll need from you guys is a very fast turn on the commanding for launch escape arm, provided we get to that point. I'll copy.
Copy. Understand LAS has to be armed by no later than T-minus 37 minutes, and we will be prepared.
Copy that.
Don Itzberger back here at the webcast desk. We're inside T-minus 45 minutes. Right now, we just heard from the Dragon team. They can take it down to about T-minus 37 minutes.
This is the launch director on the countdown net. The poll is complete, and the team is ready for crew access arm retract and propellant load and launch, pending resolution of the winds upload issue. For all operators in MCC and Hangar X, both controls are going to lockdown at T-minus 45 minutes and will remain in that state until the LES system is disarmed. All operators are to remain at their console and maintain a sterile cockpit until the ND confirms successful disarming of the launch escape system following orbit insertion or propellant offload in the event of a scrub. For non-urgent no-go conditions, brief the CE or LD and they will approve aborting the countdown. For urgent issues affecting the safety of the operation, operators shall call hold on the countdown net. Launch control will abort the launch auto sequence immediately and proceed until the launch abort auto sequence. At T-minus 10 seconds, launch control will be hands-off and relying on automated abort criteria for the remainder of the count. Operators shall advise the launch director whether structural breakup or fire is imminent or occurring per Dragon manual escape flight rules. Launch control, you may proceed with arming the crew arm for movement.
Okay, we're at T-minus 43 minutes, 15 seconds and counting. You've heard the SpaceX launch director giving final instructions to the team. We have cleared our propellant loading pole.
Crew access arm retraction has started.
And now we've heard, and you can see on the screen, crew access arm is pulling away from the Dragon spacecraft. This is going to take about a minute, minute and a half to retract all the way. Then we'll get confirmation it is in the launch position. The next step after that is going to be the crew, close the visors, confirm that, and then begin launch escape arming. As we mentioned, we want to get launch escape arming finished by about T-minus 37 minutes, which means we've got about 5 minutes to finish troubleshooting the wind upload to the Dragon vehicle. Now, currently on Falcon 9, all conditions are go on the launch vehicle. That was the poll that we, and the instructions we heard from the launch director. Dragon's working its one issue. Weather looks good. Range is ready to support.
Crew access arm retraction complete.
All right, that is the confirmation. The arm is back in the launch position. Next, they'll give the crew the command to go ahead and close and lock their visors. Now, I think right now we're probably waiting just a little bit longer. We want to give the Dragon team as much time as they can have before we move into the sequence where we then have the crew arm the launch escape system. Now, if we do get through this and we solve the upload issue, at T-minus 35 minutes, we will begin propellant load. Once we do that, then there's no chance to hold the clock. We would have to complete the countdown and launch on time, or as we have mentioned during the webcast, we do have another opportunity tomorrow about 24 hours from now. We're inside 41 minutes, continuing to troubleshoot the problem. View of the crew inside the capsule on the right-hand side. See the status bar on the bottom and the clock counting down. Now, if we get to go, we'll hear then the commands to begin the launch escape system arming. The crew will confirm about a minute later that they're armed. And that'd complete the major events before a propellant load would begin at T-minus 35 minutes. Views of Falcon 9 and Dragon on Launch Complex 39A on the Kennedy Space Center. Everybody is clear of the launch pad, clear of the launch complex. The danger and hazard areas have been confirmed clear, and we're ready. We're just waiting to find out whether or not we're going to be able to continue forward in the countdown. We should know that answer within the next couple of minutes. Now, if need be, if we do have to hold the countdown, that would be a scrub for the night. Right now, as we talked about earlier, the space station orbit is passing over Kennedy Space Center, getting everything aligned.
SpaceX wind upload is complete. You are go for Section 6, close visors and arm launch escape system.
Visors are closed and arming launch escape system now.
All right. That's good news. We've got the winds uploaded. Closing the visors, you can see on the screen. We're also going to begin escape system arming. It's going to take about 50 seconds once they get into it. We will then get confirmation that the launch escape system is armed. And from there, we will move into propellant loading coming up in 3 minutes at T-minus 35. So we passed a major milestone, everything looking good. And it's kind of quiet here right now. Everybody's kind of tense. We're waiting to see how it would go, Paul. But with that, it looks like we're doing good
John, you're right.
in the timeline.
We have taken a sigh of relief. No extra breath here. Smiles are returning. But with that.
Launch escape system is verified armed.
Very good. With all of those call-outs and the progress now being made again towards launch, let us tell you more about their destination, the International Space Station. And with that, we'll send you to NASA's Johnson Space Center and Sandra Jones for all things tracking about the mission.
For the start of propellant load.
Thanks, Paul. I'm here in the International Space Station Flight Control Room at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, where teams are working around the clock to monitor the Expedition 73 crew and systems aboard the orbiting laboratory. Today, this team is ensuring that the station is ready to receive Dragon and the Axiom 4 crew. Private astronaut missions are an important component of NASA's strategy for enabling a strong and competitive economy in low Earth orbit. Unique to Axiom 4, NASA is collaborating with the Indian Space Research Organization, or ISRO, on 5 joint science investigations and 2 on-orbit STEM demonstrations, which help showcase the strength of international collaboration and the shared commitment to expanding access to space. As the International Space Station nears the end of its operational operational life, NASA plans to transition to a new model featuring commercial space stations to maintain its leadership in microgravity research and ensure a sustainable access to low Earth orbit for the benefit of humanity. So let's take a moment now to learn more about the International Space Station and NASA's commercial future in low Earth orbit.
For more than 25 years, NASA has used the International Space Station to advance the nation's scientific and exploration goals, completing research not possible on Earth. With international partners, the orbiting laboratory has supported more than 4,000 science investigations and served as a test bed for technology demonstrations and human research to better explore the Moon, Mars, and beyond. Through NASA's investment, the United States is operating multiple commercial cargo and crew transportation spacecraft, and now is developing fully commercial space stations for low Earth orbit. With transportation and destinations, NASA's efforts are opening opportunities for private industry to use space for new markets that could benefit from microgravity. The International Space Station is the blueprint for international partnerships and commercial opportunities in space. As NASA looks to buy services from private industry, the agency looks to the future, exploring the secrets of the universe for the benefit of all.
And you can learn more about NASA's commercial efforts at nasa.gov/commercial-space. From Mission Control Houston, we are standing by and ready to support tonight's launch. So for now, we'll send it back out to Ronnie, and Paul in Hawthorne.
Thanks, Sandra. And so things are looking good. On the launch pad, the teams are continuing to progress towards launch at 2:31 a.m. Eastern. We'd love to take a minute and just take a look back at what's happened already this evening to get us to this point in the countdown. So for context, we want to say this crew has been living in an isolated quarantine bubble for the last 4 weeks, having reported to quarantine on May 25th. In that time, they have shifted their sleep regimen to adjust their circadian rhythm to match those on board the International Space Station. And over the last few days, they have finessed that further to be ready for today. In fact, their wake-up call was set to 6:30 p.m. yesterday, I should say, depending on where you are. But then about 4.5 hours prior to the scheduled launch time, the Axiom Space ground operations team drove the X4 crew to Kennedy Space Center, where they shared a brief moment with loved ones before officially being handed over to SpaceX for today's launch. This handover event has taken on quite a few forms over the years, but there's always something truly special about creating a moment, even just for a few minutes, in the midst of all of this operational choreography, to pause and share a moment with loved ones. And there you see the team did just that in front of the VAB before getting into the Teslas and riding out to the Falcon Support Building to be ready for launch today.
Absolutely. After that T-4 hour briefing, the SpaceX team helped the crew suit up at our Falcon Support Building. You got a video on your screen that was recorded earlier today of the crew stepping out in their suits and waving to everybody there for the first time before getting in our 2 Teslas to caravan over to Launch Complex 39A. They do ride in pairs over to 39A, often accompanied by members of our launch closeout team, who you see there as the crew celebrates that they are on their way over to launch. Once they reached the tower, they ascended up to the Dragon spacecraft and were able to make one last phone call before signing the White Room wall. Here you see the crew walking across the crew access arm, getting their boarding passes handed to them and checked by our closeout team. You'll notice that Peggy Whitson's is gold because she is a frequent flyer with us here at SpaceX. And then once our crew ingressed Dragon, we completed suit leak checks and comm checks before rotating the seats into the reclined position for launch. Love these videos of them up in the White Room there. You can see those signatures on the wall behind them, hugging the closeout team before ingressing the capsule. Then from there, that is the same team that closes the hatch and seals everything in the preparation for launch. Right now, we are still waiting on those final weather checks coming up, but prop load has begun. So all of that brought us through the confirmations we've been listening to, the check-ins, confirming that the crew arm is stowed, and of course, as we were listening so intently for earlier today, that our launch escape system is armed. With that, we are just over 31 minutes away from today's liftoff.
Incredible. That white room is got a lot of history in it already.
And lots more to come, which is really exciting.
Yes, we are just adding another chapter to this storied location. That 39A has got so much history already.
So, of course, everything about today is really timelined down to the minute. As we were talking about earlier today, the crew wake up all the way through launch. We have this kind of precise choreography that is key to our launch site execution. Each of the calls we're hearing, the visual cues that we're seeing, and that we're acknowledging to you who are joining us from around the world, serve as critical synchronization.
Stage 1, cryohelium loading.
There's confirmation there that we're loading the cryohelium on board stage 1 of Falcon 9. And each of these milestones are critical synchronization points for both the ground and crew teams. As they say, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. It's hard to believe that it's been 5 years since Dragon radically changed how humanity gets to space. After the space shuttle program ended in 2011, NASA astronauts primarily used the Russian Soyuz spacecraft for travel to the International Space Station. Until 2020, Dragon was the Russian Soyuz spacecraft was the only human-capable launch vehicle available. Meanwhile, SpaceX's Dragon was being developed, and then in 2010, it became the first commercial spacecraft to be recovered from orbit. In fact, just for fun, because it's cool to know, the Dragon that flew on that first commercial mission is actually the one hanging behind us here in front of Mission Control in Hawthorne. Since then, Dragon has supported 17 human spaceflight missions and flown 66 crew members representing 17 countries. Overall, Dragon has flown 52 missions, carrying over 1,000 experiments and over 300,000 pounds of cargo to space.
And each of those missions represents a host of firsts that have helped shape this generation of spaceflight. To fully appreciate the progress being made together with SpaceX and NASA, it's worth noting that Axiom Space's 3 missions to date have helped provide greater access for nations and researchers, setting new precedents for private astronaut efforts aboard the International Space Station. And AX-4 adds to that growing flight heritage.
After a successful liftoff and orbital insertion, the AX-4 crew are set to rendezvous and dock with the International Space Station tomorrow. They'll spend approximately 14 days aboard the orbiting laboratory, bringing the occupancy count up to 11.
And over the last 10 months, this crew has been working with instructors to learn every system they will be working with on station. They have studied and practiced every experiment, reviewed and rehearsed every event, all to maximize that time in space. Collectively, this crew is undertaking the largest quantity of research efforts of any Axiom space mission to date, with over 60 research activities on their timeline, representing 31 different countries. Missions like these continue to expand what is possible and set the stage for even greater opportunities to come.
Then, at the conclusion of their time on station, the crew will participate in a closing farewell ceremony and begin their preparations for the journey back to Earth. As we've mentioned a couple of times, that'll be about 14 days from today.
Each mission to the International Space Station is rooted in singular unifying purpose, to explore and learn together as a team. And that is one of the things that I absolutely love about human spaceflight. The International Space Station is a symbol of what can be realized from international cooperation and collaboration. And so while this particular mission may represent the goals of 4 specific nations, today they are launching as one crew, one team. And in that spirit, this crew created a mark to represent their shared effort together. The AX-4 mission patch is something that Peggy, Shooks, Swavush, and Tibor will wear proudly for the rest of their lives. But so will thousands of people who've worked tirelessly to contribute to this mission.
The mission patch for Axiom 4 was created, as you mentioned, by the crew, not just to mark their space flight, but to symbolize the idea that space is for everyone. Anchored by the centrality of the Earth and flanked by a diverse set of national flags, there are several intended meanings woven into this design. For instance, the 7 stars represent the 7 continents and point to global inclusivity.
The 4 white lines ascending from the Earth to the International Space Station symbolize the physical journey of this mission, and together appear to make panes of a spacecraft window, much like the view the astronauts will have from Earth orbit. And the overall gem shape of the patch is a reminder of the precious responsibility we all have to our planet, to cherish and to protect our homeworld. And in addition to the mission patch, another favorite tradition of human spaceflight is the zero-G indicator. To celebrate their unique bond, the AX-4 crew chose a baby swan as the zero-G indicator, which they've named Joy. And today, we have the opportunity to have our very own Joy joining us to help us keep an eye on the gravity levels here in Hawthorne. And so far, pretty stable.
Yeah, all systems nominal, I would say.
Very, very nominal. Yes.
So as we await our T-0 in a little bit more than 25 minutes, our ground operations teams are doing a final series of systems checks to make sure both Dragon and Falcon 9 are ready for launch. Let's take a look at what the ascent portion of our mission today will look like.
Start of Stage 2 cryohelium loading.
Brief announcement on Stage 2 loading. Once we hit T0, we're going to watch Falcon 9 and Dragon lift off from historic launch pad 39A and make their ascent. At about 43 seconds into flight, Falcon 9's engines will throttle down to help pass through the period of maximum dynamic pressure on the rocket, or what we typically refer to as max Q. Now, it's worth noting that shortly after we hit max Q, the vehicle will go supersonic, faster than the speed of sound.
Once we're through that period of maximum dynamic pressure, we throttle up our Merlin engines again. From there, at about 2.5 minutes into flight, we have a series of 3 events that happen in rapid succession. The first is main engine cutoff, also called MECO. This is where all 9 Merlin engines shut off in preparation for stage separation. Stage SEP is when the first stage detaches from the second stage, with the first stage making its way back to Earth for landing as the second stage continues on its journey with the third event.
Now, SES-1, or second stage engine start number 1, that's where the Merlin vacuum engine lights up and propels the second stage along with our AX-4 crew and Dragon into orbit. Now, as Stage 2 heads into the targeted drop-off orbit, Stage 1 will execute 3 burns in order to make its way back to Earth. The first is the boost back burn, where 3 of the Merlin 1D engines reignite and then shut down. That heads the first stage back to Cape Canaveral.
The second burn, or the entry burn, helps to slow the first stage down in preparation for entry back into the Earth's atmosphere. About 70 seconds before Dragon reaches orbit, Falcon 9 will land back on Earth. The landing burn will bring the vehicle's speed down rapidly in order to land back on land near the launch site, shortly before 8 minutes into our mission.
And then a little less than a minute after that, at T plus 8 minutes, 48 seconds, the second stage will cut off its 1 Merlin engine that was ignited right after stage separation. That concludes a burn that lasts just over 6 minutes to get into orbit, but we'll wait to hear confirmation of insertion into a good orbit. Then Dragon and the second stage begin preparations to separate Dragon. About 51 seconds after we get into orbit, we should have a great view of Dragon with the 4-person crew drifting away in Dragon, moving away from the second stage. Once Dragon's a short distance away, it'll begin checkout of the Draco maneuvering thrusters. That'll make sure Dragon continues to increase separation distance from the second stage.
The nose cone deploy sequence will initiate just before T plus 12 minutes and finish around T plus 15 minutes, exposing Dragon's docking mechanism in advance of arrival at the International Space Station. Speaking of which, we should hand it back now to Sandra Jones at NASA's Mission Control Center in Houston, Texas, for a quick update. Sandra?
Thanks, Ronnie. The space station team here in Houston is focused on the critical systems of the International Space Station, all continuing to function as expected ahead of launch. Everything is looking good, and the station will be ready to receive Dragon and the Axiom 4 crew on Thursday. After Dragon is fully docked to the orbiting laboratory, the team here in Houston will assist the Axiom space and space station astronauts with leak checks as they work to open hatches on both Dragon and inside the station's pressurized mating adapter. We expect hatch opening to take place approximately 2 hours after docking. Once the Axiom 4 crew arrives at the International Space Station, they will be greeted by the Expedition 73 crew, which includes NASA astronauts Nicole Ayers, Anne McClain, and Johnny Kim, as well as JAXA, or Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency astronaut Takoya Onishi, and Roscosmos cosmonauts Kirill Peskov, Sergei Ryzhikov, and Alexei Zubritsky. Flight Director Heidi Brewer is on console right now, leading the flight controllers for launch this evening. And with Mission Control in Houston go for launch, for now, we'll send it back over to Sonia at Kennedy.
Thanks, Sandra. To dive into some of the science highlights, I'm joined now by Axiom Space's Chief Scientist, Dr. Lucy Lowe. Lucy, thanks for joining me here at the desk. With so many science portfolios that are going to be accomplished, there are more than 60 from more than 30 countries. We can't cover it all. Give us a high-level look of what this portfolio looks like.
Yeah, so happy to, Sonia. So this mission is chock-a-block, jam-packed full of really interesting and exciting science. We have everything from human research, understanding how the human body reacts to space. We have some really fun life sciences experiments looking at growing plants and all kinds. We have some physical sciences. We have lots of technology demonstrations. And my favorite, lots of science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics outreach events.
All of the STEAM things.
Exactly.
So we've had great success with AX1, 2, 3. Do we have any return payload flyers for AX4?
We do. We have our partners at the University of California, San Diego and the Sanford Stem Cell Institute flying their cancer cells in low Earth orbit for the 4th time with Axiom. So this team is actually looking at how the cancer cells respond to space. And on this mission, they're actually testing a newly approved drug that's just about to enter clinical trials.
Amazing.
So really exciting.
So let's take just a brief look at each of the country's portfolios. Let's start at the head.
At the top. Okay, off we go. So we're going to bring on our willing participant who is going to model, our lovely assistant who is going to model one of the experiments from this portfolio. So Israel here is wearing a functional near-infrared spectroscopy cap, which has optodes in the top, which can actually look at how blood is moving around, which is a correlate for neural activity. So it's a way to actually monitor brain activity in space. And what the team is doing is looking at these signals and how they're going to collect the data. And they're actually creating what they're calling a brain-computer interface or a brain-machine interface, which could be really interesting and useful not only for future exploration missions, but also for applications back here on Earth. So, for example, for rehabilitation after neurological disorders.
And which country's portfolio is this from?
This is from ESA and the Polish Space Agency.
Amazing. So what is ISRO doing? What's their portfolio look like?
So ISRO has a very, very busy portfolio. So Shooks is going to be doing lots and lots of research throughout the mission. So their team is going to be looking at cyanobacteria and microalgae, and they're going to be looking at how these could be used for food or for fuel or for potentially even life support systems on orbit in future. The team is also looking at muscle cells. They're seeing how muscle cells respond to access to microgravity. So when the human goes into space and there are changes, physiological changes that happen very quickly that can impact the muscle cells. And so the team is going to be looking at some of these changes to muscle cells in space and then applying that understanding not only to developing countermeasures for future crew, but also to take that learning and then understand more about diseases that might affect muscle wasting back here on Earth.
I wish that this was on so we could see if anything was lighting up with Israel. Thank you so much for helping with this. I'm going to turn this way and I'm going to get the Dairos B project. Israel, thanks for joining us here, showing off the headset there. This is fascinating. While I manipulate this, like they're going to do in space, which basically makes me an astronaut, I'm going to also hum Bach.
You should do. So this is a project from Hunor flying this research. And this is actually looking at fluid dynamics in space. So we've put this tape on for artistic purposes. Tibor will not have this disco tape on orbit. But in space, what is going to happen is this will be surrounded by a ball of water that's going to have microparticles embedded in it. And as a video is recording and he's turning the handle...
To music.
To music, exactly. The tempo at which he's turning the handle is going to increase, not too much. as he's listening to bark. So he's going to know exactly how fast to turn the handle. And so the insight from research like this is going to help us understand some of the fluid dynamics around large bodies such as Saturn in our own solar system.
So it's not just for fun.
It's not just for fun. It's all very important.
If there is a researcher who's watching now and says, I've got research that I want to get into low Earth orbit, how do they do that?
They come talk to us. Go onto the website, get in touch, and we'd love to fly more research like this and do more cool science in space.
Such cool science. Thank you so much, Lucy, for making it just understandable for the general public. And we can't wait to see how it all plays out over the next couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lucy. And, you know, the X4 mission is very exciting, and the families and friends want to be here, but some of them couldn't. So we want to share with you now just a little taste of the friends and family who are cheering on the entire AX4 crew. Peggy, Shooks, Swa, and Tibor. A great group of teammates who are doing great things for their countries. And here are the folks who have been supporting them all along the way.
On behalf of the Axiom Mission Operations Team, we're wishing you a safe, productive, and fun mission. Go AX4.
Papa, you are our hero. Tara api prapiante.
Cześć Sławosz, kochany synu, jesteśmy z ciebie bardzo dumni.
Kisfiam, büszkék vagyunk rád.
Várunk vissza.
Nagyon szeretünk.
Hi, Shooks. We're super excited about your visit to space. Come back triumphant. We'll all be cheering for you the whole while that you're there.
Good luck from Iowa. We love you, Aunt Peggy.
Your flight is our future.
Your flight is our inspiration.
Hi, Sławos. We are about to do something truly out of this world. We are all here rooting for you.
Go chase those stars and make the mission unforgettable.
Hey, Shooks! Wishing you all the strength, courage, and wonder as you embark on this extraordinary mission beyond our world.
Szia, Tibike! Sok sikert kívánunk a küldetéshez, várunk haza! Nyugi, nem lesz semmi zűr, irány az űr!
Hi, Swarosh. We are so proud of you. Seeing you make your dreams come true is just amazing.
Enjoy the adventure. Earth is waiting for you.
Going is go!
Going is go!
Hi, Shooks. Wishing you a safe and inspiring journey beyond the stars. You make us proud. The sky is no longer the limit.
We are incredibly proud of you.
Go to space.
Have fun.
Make history.
Come back safely.
We are waiting for you. Hey, Shooks, you're going to be doing just great in space. Rock on, man.
Rock on!
Go Axiom 4! Go AX4!
Greetings from India. Wishing you all the very best. To the crew, Godspeed, and spend as much time as possible to look out of the window. Have a fun time, guys.
Sonia, thank you so much. What great commentary from Lucy and all of those portfolios coming together. We're excited to see this team get to work on station. And as we know, spaceflight has a rich history of traditions. We've spoken of about a few, from the zero-G indicator to others. We started this next tradition for AX2, and we're excited to continue that today. It's a special thing to be named as a commander to anything, but being the commander of a four-person crew that has completed months of training and is about to defy gravity and set sail for the International Space Station, it's truly out of this world. Peggy has some thoughts she wanted to share here in this moment, just a few short minutes from launch, and here's Peggy.
As commander of the AX4 mission, I want to thank everyone who has contributed to our journey. This mission to the International Space Station would not have been possible without the hard work of so many incredible teams. First, I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the teams at Axiom Space. Their talent and dedication shines through every unexpected challenge, the countless hours of work, and every task at hand to ensure the safety of the crew. The team's determination and commitment to achieving the highest standards inspires me every day and reminds me why I joined the Axiom Space family. To our partners at NASA, your expertise and support have been invaluable, ensuring that we are fully prepared to live and work aboard the space station. The comprehensive training programs provided by NASA have given us the skills needed to thrive in the unique environment of space. Thank you to SpaceX for providing the cutting-edge technology and reliable transportation to take us to space and bring us back home safely. The hands-on and in-depth training have ensured that we understand the Dragon systems thoroughly and confidently. We also owe a great debt of gratitude to our international partners. Your collaboration and contributions have been essential in our training to ensure mission success. Lastly, to all the other teams involved, from engineers to scientists and everyone behind the scenes, your hard work and dedication have not gone unnoticed. You're the unsung heroes of this mission, and we are deeply grateful for your support. Thank you all for your tireless efforts and for believing in the AX-4 mission. Together, we're realizing the return for 3 nations and paving the way for a bright future in low Earth orbit. Thank you.
Awesome words from our commander there. And of course, with that, we are just under T-minus 11 minutes until our liftoff at 2:31 a.m. Eastern today from Launch Complex 39A at Kennedy Space Center. Just in case you are just joining us, right now on your screen, you have a live view of Falcon 9 with our AX-4 crew safely tucked in the Dragon space capsule atop the vehicle. At this point, we are coming up on terminal count. Our crew access arm has been moved out of the way and our launch escape system is armed. And we are standing by for that final process by which we step into our terminal count, get ready, Dragon and Falcon for liftoff.
Dragon SpaceX, confirm crew displays are configured for launch.
The displays are configured for launch, and the Axiom 4 crew would like to thank the incredible teams that have made this moment possible. To the Axiom Space team, you've poured your hearts into this mission. Your passion and dedication have lifted us higher. We wear this patch with pride because of you. To NASA, thank you for the decades of knowledge, the training, and the trust. You've shaped generations of explorers, and we're honored to carry that legacy forward. To SpaceX, thank you for giving us the wings to fly and the confidence for a safe return home. And to our international partners, thank you for standing with us across borders, united by shared purpose. And to every person behind the scenes, engineers, trainers, families, and friends, you are the quiet force behind this mission. We carry the hopes of many with us. As we realize the return, we will bring those hopes home to you. Thank you.
Peggy Shooks, Suave Tibor, from all of us that are staying here on the ground, we look forward to your mission. All the hard work from our teams culminates here, so good luck, enjoy the ride, and science the heck out of all your experiments.
Wilco.
And a Wilco from Peggy Watson. We're coming up on the T-minus 8-minute mark. Next major event that'll be occurring on the Falcon 9 is the engine chill event. That happens at T-minus 7 minutes. We open the pre-valves, feeding both the RP-1 kerosene fuel as well as the liquid oxygen. And that'll go to the Merlin 1D engines. The liquid oxygen, we actually open a valve and we allow some of it to bleed off overboard out into the warm Florida air here in the early morning. And that'll begin chilling in the turbo pumps on those 9 Merlin engines to get ready for when we ignite the engines starting at T-minus 2 seconds. Also interesting to note, just several minutes ago, as we talked about early in the webcast, the International Space Station flew over Kennedy Space Center. And so that means the orbit planes are lined up. We're ready to go in just 7.5 minutes from now. Now, while we're getting ready to open the pre-valves, which is one of those what we might call significant events in the life of the Falcon 9 as we count down, we'll also be chilling in the upper stage engine. We'll hear that call out also in flight when we do some additional chill in at about 1 minute and 52 seconds.
Engine chill has started.
There's that engine chill announcement from Mission Control right on schedule. So now we just got about 50 seconds left as we continue to load RP1 onto the first stage. Falcon 9 is powered by liquid oxygen and RP1, which stands for Rocket Propellant 1, which is a highly refined type of kerosene. By the time we reach liftoff, Falcon 9 will have approximately 1 million pounds of fuel on board and will be burning 700 gallons of fuel per second at liftoff.
Stage 1, RP1 load complete.
There's confirmation there from Mission Control that we have RP1 load complete, and you're seeing great reactions from the AX4 crew there on the right-hand side of your screen with each one of these call-outs. You can tell that they are just as excited as we are to get them on their way to space.
A lot of time rehearsing, and now we're down to the last 6 minutes. We're also seeing some of the moist air as it condenses around the cold tanks. You can see that just at the top, Dragon above the second stage. Next major event coming up, Dragon is going to configure for terminal count, and they'll move on to internal power. Those are the batteries. We do have solar arrays, and you can see them right now as some of the mist clears. You can see the black portions of Dragon. So we've got solar arrays on part of the Dragon trunk, and then we also have batteries inboard. Now we have completed loading fuel on both the first and second stage. We're still loading liquid oxygen onto both stages. That'll wrap up at the T-3 minute mark and the T-2 minute mark. But right now we're waiting to hear the final updates to the crew.
Falcon 9 propellant tanks are pressurizing for strong back retract.
That's good news for Mission Control.
Dragon is in configure for terminal count.
There we heard that we are pressurizing Falcon 9 for strong back retraction. The strong back is the tall structure standing right to the left of the rocket right now. And we pressurize Falcon 9 so that we can begin to retract that support structure away from the vehicle ahead of liftoff. Great view there of Dragon sitting
strong back retract has started
on top of Falcon 9, and we'll look for those clamp arms around the base of Dragon just beneath those solar panels John was just talking about to begin opening up so the strong back can pull away. The strong back is used both to move Falcon 9 out to the launch pad ahead of liftoff and to provide all of the fuel and comm umbilicals that we're using in the lead up to launch. There are those clamp arms opening up. And then we'll see the strong back pull just about 2 degrees away from Falcon 9 in the final lead up to launch. Then at liftoff, it'll move to a full 45 degrees away from the rocket. Great live shots there of the capsule on board the rocket here.
Yeah, Ronnie, it takes about 20 seconds for the hydraulics to open up those clamp arms that held on to the second stage. Then about 30 seconds, it's hard to see, but that strong back will move just a couple degrees away.
And with that, we are just about 30 seconds away from the expected call out that LOX load has been completed on board our first stage. As we mentioned earlier, that mist forming around the outside of Falcon 9 is totally normal. That's just some of that.
Stage 1, LOX load complete.
Some of that liquid oxygen that has now been fully loaded on board to stage 1, venting out into the warm Florida air and condensing into clouds.
So we continue to check off events here in the last minutes of the countdown.
Dragon is in terminal count and is on internal power.
And the confirmation a minute ago, we started the move into transition. And there on the left side of the screen and the right, you can see some of the watch parties, Paul.
Yeah. Absolutely. On our left side of the screen, you can see the school in India. And then the right side of the screen is the planetarium in Poland with students and fans of this crew cheering on what's about to be a momentous moment.
They're good in the planetarium, keeping it dark in there for them. Okay, we're waiting to hear the confirmation that second stage LOX load is complete. That should be coming up momentarily.
Stage 2, LOX load complete.
There's that confirmation from Mission Control right on schedule. So the next major visual milestone we're likely to have from the outside of the spacecraft is going to be venting.
Dragon is in auto idle.
Confirmation there from Mission Control that we are in auto idle on board Dragon in that final minute and a half before launch. Now, we are expecting gas closeouts to be followed by some loud venting, and we're likely to see a larger cloud of liquid oxygen.
Gas closeout has started. Expect loud venting.
There's instructions to the crew, also right on schedule. And a great nighttime shot of Dragon sitting there at historic Launch Complex 39A with the AX-4 crew safely tucked inside with just over a minute to go until liftoff.
Seated left to right inside Dragon from this camera's perspective, you have Tibor Kapu there on the left-hand side. Then beside him is our pilot, Shubhanshu Shukla. Then to the other side
is armed. Falcon 9 is in startup and is now controlling.
Is Commander Peggy Whitson, and
Dragon
then
countdown.
on the far side is Sławosz Wisniewski of ESA.
Dragon SpaceX, go for launch.
AX-4 is go for launch.
That is great news for Mission Control and from our crew on board Dragon. With that, we are just at T-minus 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
To lift off of AX-4.
Let's go AX-4.
15 seconds. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and lift.
For three nations, a new chapter in space takes flight. Godspeed, AX-4.
T-plus 30 seconds into flight with the Axiom 4 crew on board Dragon, headed to the International Space Station. Waiting to hear call-outs from the Falcon 9 engineering team.
Power and telemetry nominal. Stage 1 throttle.
We're throttling down the 9 Merlin engines. We're into the throttle bucket, preparing for max Q.
Max Q. Vehicle is supersonic.
We should begin throttling the Merlin engines back up now.
Stage 1 throttle up.
Mission Control confirming.
Stage 1 Bravo.
That throttle up, and we
Copy,
are
1 Bravo.
hearing our Commander Peggy Whitson call out the first abort mode. Each of these are a specific phase where if for any reason we had an in-flight abort,
underway.
Dragon would abort to a safe location. So we're going to call out each of those milestones as we pass through them. We also just heard the call out for MVAC chill. We're going to trickle just a little bit of liquid oxygen now into the turbo pumps on board our Merlin vacuum engine on stage 2 in preparation for second engine start 1, which will of course be shortly after stage separation. Now, at this point, we are just about 30 seconds away from 4 events that are going to happen in rapid succession. The first one will be main engine cutoff, or MECO, then again followed by stage separation, ignition of that second stage engine, which we are already
Stage
preparing
1,
for, as well as the first stage's boost back burn. With that confirmation from Mission Control that we are throttling the first stage engines down, we are expecting MECO at T plus 2 minutes and 26 seconds.
MECO. Stage separation confirmed. Stage 1 boost back startup and back ignition.
There we had confirmation of all 4 of those events. Incredible views on our screen here too, as that boost back, as that first stage boosts its way back to Earth.
Stage 2 Alpha.
And confirmation
Copy,
from our
2 Alpha.
commander that we have entered the 2 Alpha abort mode. Of course, we're getting lots of cheers from behind us here at Mission Control here in Hawthorne, California as well. And at this point, our AX4 crew is on their way to space. The view you have on your screen right now is our MVAC engine burning for that second engine first burn. We're expecting that SECO here, second engine cutoff, which will likely be called out over the nets as SECO in just a couple of minutes.
Stage 1 boost back shut down.
Confirmation that the boost back burn on our first stage booster is now complete, and the booster is heading back toward the Florida coast to attempt a landing at LZ1. At this point, stage 1 is actually still coasting to apogee. We're about to deploy those grid fins so that we can steer the vehicle as it enters the Earth's atmosphere.
Dragon, SpaceX, nominal trajectory.
And that call out from Mission Control means
Dragon
that
copies, nominal trajectory.
everything is right on track.
T plus 4 minutes, everything continuing to go well, and we've got our first view of the crew. They're inside Dragon, second stage continuing to fire. Right now, second stage, just a little bit more than 1G. There's so much propellant that even with a 220,000-pound thrust engine, it takes a while before the G loads start to build up during the second stage flight. Meanwhile, first stage continuing to coast up to apogee, and actually now, as you can see on the bottom left of your monitors, we have begun coming back down. It takes a couple minutes to go up, a couple minutes to come back down. That first stage heading back to landing zone 1 at Cape Canaveral.
Dragon, SpaceX, nominal trajectory.
Words we love to hear.
Dragon copies, nominal trajectory.
Peggy Whitson echoing back the call up from the ground. Now our next major event coming up will be in about 1 minute and 10 seconds. That's going to be the entry burn. That's where we're going to light a single center engine on the first stage. That's going to slow us down in preparation for entering the Earth's atmosphere again. We'll then have a landing burn about 1 minute later at T plus 7 minutes and 19 seconds. Now for that one, we actually light 3 engines again. Then quickly once we've kind of jammed the brakes on, then we'll turn off 2 of the engines. We'll be down to just a single engine. Getting good views of the MVAC-D engine. There are a couple of cameras on the back of the second stage that give these views. And of course, the view inside the Dragon spacecraft showing the crew.
Dragon, SpaceX, nominal trajectory.
Continuing the call-outs right on time.
Dragon copies, nominal trajectory.
Now, right now, as Ronnie pointed out, the grid fins have been deployed, but they're not being used. Right before the entry burn, we'll possibly see a little bit of motion if we can pick up the first stage camera. That's just a checkout. It's not until we actually get through the entry burn.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
That we get back in the atmosphere. And now here is entry burn call out. This is going to be about a 12-second burn. That's going to slow the vehicle down. You can
Stage
watch
1
that.
entry burn shutdown.
There you just saw on the left-hand side of your screen that first stage entry burn shutdown. Right now on your screen, we've got great views of our second stage and take our AX4 crew to orbit. The next milestone for our first stage is going to be the landing burn, where we'll relight just the center engine, as John mentioned.
Dragon, SpaceX, nominal trajectory.
Again, things we love to hear.
Stage 1 FTS.
Dragon copies, nominal trajectory.
Continuing to get good communication from our crew on board Dragon.
Stage 1 transonic.
Confirmation that stage 1 is now transonic on its way back to LZ1, which is just about 9 miles away from our liftoff location today. LZ1, of course, is the site of the first successful landing attempt, and hopefully it will be the second time that this particular booster sticks its landing. Seeing those actuating of the grid fins that John mentioned.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy. Stage 2 FTSS safed. Stage 1 landing confirmed.
That was a picture-perfect landing. That was great.
Absolutely stunning.
So coming up next for our crew, now that we've confirmed that booster touchdown, is going to be second engine cutoff, also called out as SECO. Then the second stage will coast for a few minutes until Dragon is commanded to separate from the second stage. There's our AX4 crew awaiting that SECO call out here.
Stage 2 is in terminal guidance.
Good continued burn from our second stage engine there. Now, at this point, our crew is experiencing about 3 Gs in the lead up to SECO 1, which, of course, will be their first taste of microgravity.
SpaceX Dragon, Shannon.
There's confirmation
Copy, Shannon.
of the Shannon abort mode.
MVAC shutdown.
SpaceX Dragon, we have a nominal orbit insertion.
Nominal orbital insertion, SpaceX, and we had an incredible ride uphill, and now we like set our course for the International Space Station aboard the newest member of the Dragon fleet, our spacecraft named Grace. Grace is more than a name. It reflects the elegance with which we move through space against the backdrop of Earth. It speaks to the refinement of our mission, the harmony of science and spirit, and the unmerited favor we carry with humility. Grace reminds us that spaceflight is not just a feat of engineering, but an act of goodwill. The benefit of every human, everywhere. Over to you, Shuk.
Wszystkie systemy dziewiąte.
10 minutes into flight.
Water right. नमस्कार मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों, वाटर राइड 41 साल बाद हम वापस अंतरिक्ष में पहुंच गए हैं और कमाल की राइड थी। इस समय हम 7.5 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड की रफ्तार से पृथ्वी के चारों तरफ घूम रहे हैं और मेरे कंधे पे मेरे साथ मेरा तिरंगा है जो मुझे बता रहा है कि नहीं हूँ, मैं आप सबके साथ हूँ। ये मेरी इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन तक की जर्नी की शुरुआत नहीं है, ये भारत के ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की शुरुआत है और मैं चाहता हूं कि आप सभी देशवासी इस यात्रा का हिस्सा बने। आपका भी सीना दिल से चौड़ा होना चाहिए, आप भी उतना ही एक्साइटमेंट दिखाइए। आइए हम सब मिलकर भारत के इस ह्यूमन स्पेस प्रोग्राम की जर्नी की शुरुआत करें। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, जय भारत।
Thank you, Shuk. Drogie Polki i Polacy, dziś robimy ogromny krok w stronę przyszłości technologicznej Polski. Polski opartej na nauce, wiedzy i wizji. Niech ta misja będzie początkiem epoki, w której nasza odwaga i nieustępliwość kształtują nowoczesną Polskę. Dla nas i dla przyszłych pokoleń. Kosmos zawsze jednoczył ludzi. Zabieram dziś z ziemi cząstkę każdego z was. Waszej siły, waszej nadziei, waszego zaufania. W kosmosie nie jestem sam. Reprezentuję nas wszystkich. Z całego serca dziękuję wam za zaufanie. Kosmos dla wszystkich. Space for everyone. And with that, over to you, Tibor.
Thank you, Sław. 15 millió magyar emelt ma idáig. Támogatásotok olyan, mint a szürke hamu alatt nyugvó parázs. Belül csendben ízik, de ha fát dobnak rá, egyként lángol. Hálás és büszke vagyok, hogy a hazánkat képviseltem. Családomnak és barátaimnak köszönöm, hogy ti vagytok a legerősebb támaszaim. A ti hangotok hangosabb, mint a rakétánk, erőtök nagyobb, mint a gravitáció. A világűr mindenkié, a Föld pedig egyetlen. Mi a bolygónk 4 különböző pontjáról indultunk, de társakként, barátokként érkeztünk ide. A mi küldetésünk a tiétek is. Köszönöm mindenkinek szerte a világon, akik hozzájárultak ez a gyönyörű naphoz. Egynek minden nehéz, soknak semmi sem lehetetlen. Go X4!
And we are getting some views inside of the newly named capsule that the crew announced today.
On behalf of the entire SpaceX launch team, thank you. It's been a privilege to work with you so far, and we're excited for you to have a safe flight and a safe return home. Good things come to those who wait. Godspeed to the maiden crew of Grace.
And we thank you all as well.
And so with today's successful launch of Axiom 4, the teams at NASA's Johnson Space Center will continue to monitor Dragon's flight to the International Space Station over the next 28.5 hours. NASA's role in this journey really kicks in at a period called integrated operations, which begins during the spacecraft's approach to the space station and continues during the crew's stay aboard the orbiting laboratory, where they will conduct science, education, and commercial activities, and will conclude once the spacecraft exits the vicinity of the International Space Station. During integrated operations, the NASA, SpaceX, and Axiom space teams are all working in lockstep. The teams here are preparing for a docking of Axiom 4 to the space station at 7 a.m. Eastern on Thursday morning, and will continue to monitor the approach until then. But for now, that will be it for us here in Mission Control Houston, but we'll be back with you at 5 a.m. Eastern for docking, hatch opening, and welcome coverage. So with that, back over to you, Hawthorne.
Thanks so much, Sandra. Over the next 28.5 hours, the Dragon spacecraft Grace will execute a series of burns to gradually raise and line up the AX-4 crew for docking with the International Space Station in what we refer to as the activation and rendezvous phase of flight. In just a few minutes, the crew will change out of their spacesuits to get a little bit more comfortable for flight and will enjoy their first meal aboard the spacecraft. Over the course of their flight, they will also have a rest period that will last for about 8 hours. Before they arrive at the space station, we will have 3 potential opportunities to chat briefly with the crew on orbit. While we're hopeful that one of these will work out, none of them are guaranteed, as they're dependent both on crew schedule and ground station coverage. But if we are able to support, we'll make an announcement on our social media channels no later than 15 minutes before the event start time. In the meantime, be sure to keep tabs on this mission at axiomspace.com, and you can track Dragon's flight on spacex.com/launches.
And even if we aren't able to talk live with the crew, we will continue to provide updates on the mission across our social media channels. And then as Dragon and the AX-4 crew approach the International Space Station tomorrow, June 26th, we will pick back up with our live joint coverage of the AX-4 crew's docking to the station with NASA. Please keep an eye on Axiom Space and SpaceX social channels for updates, as there will be plenty of incredible moments to share with you over the next 2 weeks. From all of us at Axiom Space, thank you, SpaceX. Thank you, NASA, for making today possible. Thank you to ISRO and ESA and Hunor for pursuing this endeavor with us. What started with joy now continues on with grace. And we will see you very soon.